Hello and welcome back to See Red UK, where quite simply is Chicago Bulls see. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network. Whoever you're listening, rate, review, subscribe, helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell, give us a thumbs up and leave some comments down below. I'm Matt and not for long, as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
Okay. I got a sense that tonight could be a bit of a rough one from me. But I'll let you get into that more as soon as you've just touched on it there for a second. I'll leave it off. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We've actually got some basketball to talk about, some news to talk about, and looking forward to having a chat.
Yeah, from my point of view, it's not good. We've had a bit of a crap week as it is, which we'll get into with some of the news. And as you've just put across the bottom, I can't get the staff because you are off. Yeah. I think we've mentioned it before about you going on holiday because you're now a Bucks fan. So yeah, this is the last podcast we're doing like this for October at least, depending if you decide to come back or not.
I might find it great over there. I might decide to move to Milwaukee.
Yeah. So yeah, as for what goes on after this one, not 100% sure yet. We're still trying to figure that out. What is it we worked out last week? You're going to miss the first 10 games, or you're going to be away for the first 10/11 games.
Yeah.
Depending when we can actually get you back on.
It was a really well-timed holiday, wasn't it? Or vacation to our American listeners. Yeah, I decided to plan it and completely forgot about thinking around the basketball season when we planned it. We planned it, God help us, around my family. And and it was only when I stopped and thought about it, I was like, oh, hang on a minute. I'm actually missing the start of the season, which is not exactly helpful when it comes to recording podcasts. But I'll still be watching all the games. I might not catch all of them live like I normally do, but and I'm hoping to at least hop on and do at least one podcast while I'm gone. How well that will work, I don't know yet, but we'll try and make it work.
Yeah, like I say, we've managed to grind away all off season, and then when the fun starts, you decide to go. So yeah, it's a bit of an emotional week, and it got worse with a little bit of news, which touch on other news first before we get into that one, because it's just shit. So anyway, so there have been some transactions with the Bulls roster of late. Back end of last week, they decided to waive Henry Drell and Max Heidegger. Yeah, not much to be said. I think Drell possibly goes back to Windy City.
Yeah,
maybe goes back to Europe, depending what his plans are. I don't know. Hopefully he goes back to Windy City because I think he's an all right G League player.
Mm-hmm.
Max Heidegger, we've got about 5 minutes for Bulls in that first pre-season game. Got 1 point from a technical free throw. Forever a Bulls legend, isn't he?
There you go, scored a point.
Yeah, I think that was back into last week. Then on Monday, was it, after the second Nuggets game, they waived Quentin Jackson, who today has actually, his rights have been acquired by Windy City, so at least he's staying in the system. Probably the whole reason why he got his training camp deal and stuff like that. I like it, to be fair. I think he's going to be an exciting G League player. Just he's not quite NBA standards, I don't think.
No, but he can certainly throw the ball through the hoop very hard and very athletically. So he's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. And then yesterday, it come out that we had signed Derek Favors and Khalil Whitney.
Yeah.
And then today, it's come out that they waived him.
Yep.
But it was obviously announced yesterday by Billy via, I think it was Casey Johnson, that the whole reason was to get him onto Windy City, which explained, apparently they get more money if they're signed beforehand, and yeah, I don't understand it all. But initially, I was intrigued by the Favors one.
Yeah.
The Khalil Whitney, I mean, he's from Chicago. He's a G League player. Obviously, just getting him back home. But yeah, Favors, there was hope that a certain somebody on the roster, which I won't mention just yet, was going to get waived, and he was going to get that slot.
Mm-hmm.
Could still happen. If it maybe a prove it sort of 4 months or 2 months, whatever, with Windy City and get your health back and see what happens. But as it stands, they're both set to join Windy City.
Yep.
And the sad news. My week just, as Neill's just put across the bottom, there are no Javontes out there. We've gone from 5 to none. Obviously he wasn't on the roster anyway. I did have my little theory that we were keeping him around to waive Carlick when he's fit. Well, when Javonte is back fit, he was going to get that roster spot. But no, he has gone to join the Golden State Warriors system and heading straight to their G League team. Is it Santa Cruz Warriors? Which kind of leads into the thing of he's not healthy.
No, obviously not.
Because if he is healthy, he's in the NBA, isn't he, basically? Or he should be. And he should be with Bulls. Obviously, anybody who's listened to this knows that Javonte is my guy.
And, the OG.
Yeah. And he always will be. And I just hope that he does get himself back healthy. Gets himself on the Warriors roster. And as long as it's not against the Bulls, they win and give him his ring.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what you make of all of them transactions and the Javonte news before we throw it to your little special montage that you've made.
Yeah, I mean, well, the big one is obviously the Javonte situation. The other stuff is just moving chess pieces around the board, really, more than anything else. It seems to be mainly about making acquisitions for the Windy City Bulls and paring down the main roster, which is standard. That's normally the way it goes. It gets narrowed down, and that's kind of what we're witnessing at the moment. We're just sitting waiting for them to narrow it down at least one more player, and we all know who that is. But the news was Javonte, and I was totally there with you. I was like, I can see the argument you're making to wait until he's healthy, waive Carlick, and there's the spot for Javonte. He can play at the 4, which, as we know well, even though he's undersized at the 4, he plays it very well. He's been doing it in his tenure with the Bulls, and that fills out that roster spot. And just wasn't to be. Just didn't happen that way, unfortunately. I wouldn't go so far as to say, publicly or anything that Matt was wrong, but I do believe Matt was wrong.
For now.
For now. Watch this space. He could come back.
Yeah, there's always a chance. They could just be sending him there to get healthy.
Maybe.
Who knows? So yeah, you've put together a little montage to say our farewells to him, say our thank yous, and show how much we appreciate him. Or I did.
Yeah. Oh no! Come on, there's not a Bulls fan alive that didn't appreciate what Javonte brought. I mean, Mr. Energy guy.
Well, so, it kind of leads into how we're going to finish this pod with some predictions, which I'll mention later on. But I was driving that Javonte train from day one, and it was good to see that the rest of Bulls Nation eventually, over time, jumped on.
Yeah.
So yeah, over to the montage. So obviously, if you're listening audio, you probably didn't really appreciate that montage. So head over to the YouTube and check it out. Now we're going to get into the pre-season talk. Obviously, Bulls are now 1-3 in pre-season, but as the title of the show suggests, it is only pre-season. We're not going to go into every game because obviously the last recording we did was after the Bucks loss. We've had 3 games since then. 1 win, 2 losses. A mixture of games, a mixture of positives, a mixture of negatives. And obviously the first one that you put up was, well, the scores are going across the bottom for anyone who doesn't know them. Yeah, so obviously Bulls, they lost 102, 105 to the Bucks, which we covered. Then in the next game, it was a 1 a.m. tip for us, and they lost. No, they didn't, sorry. They won 133, 124 after double overtime in pre-season, which just was horrendous.
It's gone down really well, hasn't it, across Bulls Nation?
Then the third game, they rested the starters, or the big 4, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I put core 3 there, but yeah, including Caruso. It's the 4,
yeah. And it was a pretty decent game for the first 2 quarters, and then I think Nuggets just got bored and said, right, let's finish this. 116-102 win for Nuggets, and then last night / this morning, hence the bags under my eyes because it's been a long day, we lost to the Raptors 106-102, and as I've just said to you in the pre-chat, kind of tipped me over the edge, even though it is only pre-season. I think it's because I was tired. I'm very tired today because I've had to do a 14.5-hour day at work after a 1 a.m. tip, and we started recording this at 9:30. So
yeah,
that's a little bit of an insight into how our life is for pre-season. Yeah, like I said at the start, some positives, some negatives, and I mean I'll get into last night's game, why it tipped me over the edge as we go on. But what's your take on pre-season so far? Who's stood out?
Do you know, I like pre-season, first of all, because it gives you a little taster of what's to come. But the main reason is because it's when you get to test out different lineups, let players have a little bit more free reign, perhaps, than they would be once it gets into the regular season.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
That's one of my gripes with it.
Right.
Which I'll get into. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
No
I had
problem.
to say it before
I'm intrigued now to hear what you have to say about that. But theoretically, anyway, that's the way it kind of plays out. And what I like about preseason is getting a flavour of what's to come and getting a real kind of idea of what the players are going to be like, what they're looking like, how they may have worked on their game in the off season, how they're gelling together and all that sort of thing. And for that side of it, I think in regards to the first, say, like 8 players, which is going to be the main rotation anyway, I think it looks pretty good. Okay, I know where you want to go with that straight away, but we'll get into that later. But I think that, you know, as far as the core 3 goes, Vooch was a bit slow to come out the station, but you know, like we said recently, we're all on the Vooch train here at Sea UK, and I think
just
that he
started
will.
the engine last night.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he was just kind of thinking to himself, it's only preseason, and he took his time to get into it. But as we were told before the game, Billy now is beginning to expect the starters to ramp up a little bit, and you could see that in Vooch last night. You very much see it in Zach as well. I think the core 3 look great. I think last night Vooch, when he finally decided to show up, and I do think it was a choice, he looked good. Zach is looking like all-star Zach, if not maybe even all-NBA Zach. And it looks like DeMar is taking that small step back at the moment, which is what we kind of had talked about hoping to see. He's shot a few threes. So whether he's, you know, trying to shut up a few of the naysayers. I don't know, but so I like what I see from them. We have a bit of an injury for Caruso. He wasn't playing last night. A bit of an ankle roll, I believe, but seemingly he was in practice today, so it's nothing too major. So that's good to hear. So we didn't get to see him last night, but he looked good leading up to last night. And the mainstay, the big standout from the starting five is Kobe. I mean, Kobe is looking like he has certainly earned that role now as the starting point guard, and it looks like BD has certainly decided that he's going to go with that starting five with P. Will at the 4. So I like it, but the exciting thing for me is the players outside of those 5, and I think the likes of Torrey Craig has been incredibly impressive. He's definitely going to be a fan favorite. He's already getting people shouting his name out for the starting number 4 position. I'm sure one of them could be staring me in the face at the moment. And also, I think like Julian Phillips has looked really good. And there's a few other players, like DT, bit of a concern still.
Patrick Williams.
What's that?
Patrick Williams.
Who? No, we won't get into any of that. I'm leaving that for you. I know you want to talk about P. Will. And everybody out there is talking about P. Will at the moment. And some people are on one side of the fence, some people are on the other side of the fence, and some people are getting splinters. I have to say that I'm still on my side of the fence. I still believe in him. And I think he's beginning to believe in himself. He looks like he's a bit more of an aggressor. He's certainly trying to play up to that that kind of mentality that people are telling him he needs to play up to. I don't think it comes naturally to him, so he is forcing it a little bit. But I mean, he's played 4 games. He's been good in 2, and he's been poor in 2. Last night he was shocking, but last night he was trying, and I liked that side of it. It just, the ball wasn't falling for him, and he wasn't getting things particularly right. But I'm still shouting. I'm still here for you, P. Will. I'm still behind you. I still believe in you. And I know Matt isn't, but I am. So I'll let him get onto that in a little while. But I mean, for the most part, Javon Carter, I think, is going to be another great addition. He's looking really comfortable and solid when he's on the floor as well. And I'll let you fill in the gaps with the other players. I won't take everybody from you.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the individuals just yet, but okay. I'm going to start with the negatives, because just get them out of the way. Obviously, I understand what pre-season is. Mm-hmm. Like you say, it's a chance to ramp up, give players who ordinarily you don't get a chance to see a chance, basically.
Yeah.
And that's my first gripe, is we haven't. We know, like you said, it looks how the starters are set. We know the second unit's going to be.
Yeah.
So it seems to have, like the Nuggets game, for example, where we rested the starters. We knew who was going to be the starters then. And then we're kind of expecting this third unit to become the second unit. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't spread any further than that 10-man rotation a lot of the time. Obviously, yeah, he's thrown in DT, Julian Phillips. They've had quite a lot of minutes, for the position they're going to be, but at the same time, not enough minutes to, in the sort of where you want to see them, basically how you'd expect them to fit into. They've been basically just thrown in as a full unit, not as part of a unit where that's where they're going to be expected to fill in through the season. And then you've got the likes of the two-way players. Now, every other team in pre-season, Jimmy Butler hasn't even played a pre-season game yet. Miami are running the G League team, the bums, whatever you want to call them. Yet we're not. We haven't. The two-way players, Justin Lewis, OB, and Adama Sanogo, they didn't even come in last night. They didn't come in against in one of the Nuggets games as well.
Yeah.
Well, OB and Snowgo didn't. And it's like, how do we know what they can do if you're not going to run them? Like I said to you last night, I'd love to see OB get a run with real NBA players, play big boy basketball. You know, he's put that thing out with Sam Smith where he's had a chat where he could be earning a lot more money playing in Europe, but he's wanted to take his chance. Yeah. And as we know with Billy, he just doesn't give him a chance. And it just seems like someone like OB is going to become that random white guy that sits at the end of the bench that Billy doesn't even know how to say his name. And we never see him, yet we want to see him. And he'll go down to Windy City and he'll destroy the G League. And we'll be like, right, play him. And he'll just be at the end of the bench. And to me, that's what pre-season's about, is let him have his run. You know, and I just think that the rotations and what Billy's done, you know, he talks a good game, as I've said before, but doesn't actually coach a good game. You know, and it was something like touching on one of the individuals, Kobe. Like I said to you last night, I think he's played too much. If they know he's going to be the starter, why have they? You know, we're in a time of load management. We know Kobe's suffered niggly little injuries before, and we got a little bit of PTSD last night when he went off and then come back on with a new knee pad or whatever it was that happened. But it didn't look good when he landed, and it's just like, why are you pushing that many minutes on Kobe? If you know he's going to be the starter, that's fine. You know, give somebody else that run. Give the minutes to Dalen so he can. Yeah. You know, and it's just that annoyed me last night, and like I think we would have won the game last night had because he said he was ramping up the starters and they were going to play in the fourth. If they'd have played in the fourth instead of going down to the second unit, then I think that game it wouldn't have been as close as it was.
Yeah.
But obviously it is only pre-season, and I don't know why I'm getting so angry about it. I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, and I just think why have these guys there if you're not going to give them a chance when it doesn't actually matter? And then, you know, as for obviously you're saying he's ramping up the starters, it's like, do they really need to be ramped up? You know, do they need to play as many minutes as they are? And when other teams aren't doing that, do you know what I mean? So we're going to come into, I know we've got, is it 5-6 days off between tomorrow's game and the opener. So obviously they've got a chance to rest, but we've already seen Caruso going down with that niggly little injury, and it's like, oh yeah, he should be good to play against Timberwolves. Why? If he's got a niggly little injury, just let him rest.
Yeah.
Because we're going to end up burning him out before we've even got to the opener next week.
There's too many preseason games as it is.
Yeah. And then, I mean, on to sort of like some of the individuals. Like you said, Zach, you know, he's ready. He's healthy. Yeah. But like I said to you last night, wrap him in cotton wool. Don't play him. You know, to me, it's pointless playing him 20 minutes because they're not. We've seen what he can do now. Just give him the rest of the week off, you know, and wait for next week because we need him healthy. And going out and playing 20 minutes, he don't benefit from it. Bulls don't benefit from it because we're not getting a chance to see what these other players can do when you're throwing the starters out there. Obviously, like you say, Kobe looks like he's got that starting role, but to me, he's played too many minutes. And I'm still unsure whether I want him to be the starter. Just because we haven't seen him with the starters, really. And I just think that we've built Kobe up now to be this, oh, look at what he's doing. And then when next week comes around, it's like, don't give the ball to Kobe. Just give it back to Zach. Give it back to DeMar.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, before I get into any other players, as we were going to title this pod something different. Is it all change, any change or no change?
Yeah.
And it's something I asked you last night when it is, has anything changed? And this is another reason why I was so angry and I'd forgot before. But to me, nothing's changed. When them starters come back in, nothing has changed. We apparently wanted to shoot more threes. Yeah. All right. First game against Bucks, started off all right, put up 35 3-point attempts. Since then, we haven't got above 30. We did in double overtime, but we needed 2 extra quarters of basketball to do it. And then last night, 26. The previous Nuggets game, 29. Where's the change? Because to me, there is none. And we still can't defend threes either.
No.
Which is annoying. Last night we saw the free throw discrepancy. 38-11 in favour of Raptors. Clearly we needed DeAndre DeRozan there to put them off, but she must be at school or whatever. And it's like, to me, nothing's changed, because that Nuggets game where they sat the starters, the second unit come in and played exactly the same way the starters do. And that's how it looked to me anyway. They just went through the same sort of plays, and it was like, well, it should be DeMar there, but it's not. It's P. Will, or it's it should be Zach there, or it's not. It's Ayo, And it was just like trying to run the same plays for different players, and it was just like it's not working. Yeah. So from a team perspective, that's what's been annoying me. I don't think anything's changed, and again, it's pre-season. It's when we should be seeing the change. Everything that AK spoke about, everything that Billy spoke about, everything the players have spoke about, we want to see. And to me, we're not seeing it. Now, obviously, certain individuals have changed slightly. Kobe, Ayo, I think, has been impressive. Especially rebounding, which is another gripe of mine from the weekend. Twitter trolls. It's been an angry few days, to be fair.
Yes.
I'm not even going to touch on P. Will just yet, but Torrey Craig, I liked the signing when we made it, and he's not particularly stood out in terms of scoring, but it's everything else he's doing, and everything else he's doing is what you want P. Will to be doing as well. If you could add P. Will scoring to everything else that Torrey Craig's doing, you've got your perfect 4, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And obviously we've heard Torrey Craig saying about he wants to bring that out of P. Will, basically. That gets me on to P. Will in a bit, but anyway. Yeah, I think, as I said last night in a few tweets, to me, Torrey Craig is going to be a fan's favourite. If not already, do you know what I mean? He's a Chicago-style player. He's not scared to put his body on the line. And I think it was a Bucks reporter that was on with Casey Johnson on a Bulls talk, and he said he breaks his nose every season. And you kind of seen it in that Nuggets game where I think it was their rookie was kind of had the ball and he's doing that, and it looked like Torrey Craig was trying to stop him doing it with his face. Stop his elbows with his face. And that's I love that. And then obviously he had that amazing block last night on, I can't remember who did it on, and then he comes out and says, going up like that is you've got to give heart. You've got to be not scared of being put on a poster. And we've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
When people are taking the mick out of Giannis for getting posted, and it's like, no, I want to see that. I want to see the effort to stop it in the first place. If you get put on a poster, you get put on a poster.
Yeah.
I'd rather be seen on that poster trying than staring, basically.
Yeah.
So I love it. And then the fringe players, they've annoyed me as well, mainly because we haven't seen enough of them. But I think they've also seen they're just not good enough. And that's the worry, because we know what the 10-man rotation is going to be. We've
Yeah.
seen it time and time. Ayo's kind of made it a little bit more awkward because we did think he was going to be the odd man out, but now he's looking like he's essentially backup point guard, because I don't think Javon Carter is. I think Javon's just more of a get out there and float around sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Julian Phillips, if you can put some size on, add some muscle to himself, he's going to be, Bulls fans are going to be shouting for him.
He can jump out the gym.
Yeah, obviously he had a pretty decent block as well in the Nuggets game, didn't he?
Two-hander.
Yeah, he seems to be, every game he does something that's a bit of a highlight, which I like. He's got that confidence there. Dale and Terry. Yeah, it's
get him on the Lovables. I'm telling you, get him on the Lovables. That's where he needs to be.
It's getting harder to stick up for him, innit? Because he's just, when he goes to the rim, even when he's going to the rim, he looks like he's like standing on hot coals or something, and he just can't wait to get off it. Do you know what I mean? And
excuse me.
The amount of sort of missed layups, it's not even his jump shot, his layups, he's too fast. It's like, it reminds me a bit like what Ayo was last year, where can get downhill, no problem at all, but he doesn't know what to do when he gets down there.
Yeah.
He's gone too fast for himself. Even the things that he's good at, he seems to be rushing now, and he's, like I say, he's just making it hard to support him for much longer, I think. But for now, I've still got that little bit of hope. I think it's just too early to write him off. It's year 2 at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, two-way players, we haven't seen enough of them. Especially OB. I'd love to have seen more of him. Sonogo looks like he's been working with Drummond, which could be good, could be bad. Who knows? Obviously, both ex-UConn, aren't they? So I think they've got that link. Similar size, similar body. You just basically want them in the paint and nowhere else. As we saw with Drummond last night with that crazy missed dunk. But
he made up for it. He made up.
Yeah, there was a few errors from him last night.
There were.
But he did. The next play, he made up for it, whether it was with a block, a steal, whatever. But he just didn't get a chance to make up for that missed dunk, which...
Why? Did he think he was closer to the ring? Did he think he could jump further than he can? I don't know, but he just came up short.
I think he tried taking off from the free throw line, didn't he? And it was like, oh.
I love his confidence, though. I love it.
But yeah, like Sonogo, just not seen enough of him because Billy hasn't played him.
Yeah,
and same with Justin Lewis. It was just we want to see him, but we're not. So I think if we want to see him, we're going to have to watch a lot of Windy City. And the last one, Carlick Jones. Get that man off this roster.
Yes, please.
He is just not. He's just not it. Appreciate G League MVP, FIBA World Cup, all that sort of stuff.
Great G League player. Plays very well in Europe against slower. And I don't mean slower as in the players are slower. Their whole game is played slower. And it seems to suit his game a lot more. But the pace, the size, the energy in the NBA, he can't seem to match up to it.
Yeah, and again, pre-season was his chance to show it.
Yeah.
And whether it's because Billy doesn't see it or he's not been impressed with him or what, but if that's the case, get him off the roster. He's not guaranteed until opening night, so the fingers crossed. There is still time. But hence why we thought Derek Favors could have been coming in, or Javonte, or whoever. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically my rants over my quick opinions. But I just want to throw it back to the big three because I think they're the ones that we most intrigued by to see, what they're doing. As you said, Vooch, first two games, we were quite worried, weren't we?
Yeah.
Then last night dropped 20 points, and it was like, really? Someone added that up wrong.
No, it was a very quiet 20 points.
Yeah, and 10 rebounds as well to go with it, just because he has to get a double-double. Yep. Yeah, I'm not worried about Vooch. I think if they have tried these different plays and different things, then obviously it affects Vooch as much as it affects anybody because we need Vooch to be in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And one thing with Kobe being the starter, if you throw it back to when we first signed Vooch and Zach went out with, was it COVID he went out with to start with?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
He
got COVID twice in the same season.
Yeah, it was like the back end of the season, wasn't it? I think he went out anyway, and obviously Kobe stepped up into that starting role, and at the time, him and Vooch seemed to link really well.
They did,
and we're seeing that again now. I think now Kobe's getting that starting role. So if you can take the ball away from Zach and DeMar, and you've got Kobe and Vooch, then I think the ball's going to move a lot more. And we've seen it at times in pre-season. We saw it last night when obviously there was all out there. As you said before, DeMar just, I don't know if he's the one that hasn't fully ramped up or he's not putting the effort in as much effort in, just saving it for when it matters, basically.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't think it's that he doesn't have it or he's a step behind this year. I think he's just biding his time.
Yeah. And obviously Zach he's just the Zach we want to see. I think he's showing everybody he is the number one on this team.
Yeah.
And he's prepared to put the team on his back again and go with it. Whether that works or not, it remains to be seen. But
well, it's been a while since we've seen a healthy Zach stepping on the floor, coming in at the start of the season. Do you know?
Yeah.
He's either been working out during the off season to get over an injury, or he's coming in carrying an injury, and it looks like this is fully fit Zach in his prime, without anything hanging over him in regards to a contract. Now's his time to shine, and it looks like he's prepared to, pardon the pun, but grab the bull by two horns.
Yes, exactly. I mean, he's even sort of commented himself, hasn't he, that he's coming in healthy, he's feeling good, and he's ready to go, sort of thing. I'm purposely not speaking about P. Will because that's in the next segment.
Yeah.
So we've got one more game left. Tomorrow, it's tomorrow night in Chicago time, Friday 1 a.m. for us against Minnesota.
Yeah.
What do you want to see in that game?
I want to see them playing and running plays through Vooch like they said they were going to, which is something that we haven't really seen yet. I think that, like you say, all change, no change. That's kind of the change I'd really like to see with the starting five. In regards to individuals and not, the way that the ball is being run, I want to see P. Will prove you wrong and everybody else that's
I ain't even said what I'm going to say yet.
I know what you're going to say. I'm going to be negative about P. Will because I think he has shown more flutters of what he can be in this preseason than he has done previously. He just it's like the head now knows where it needs to be, and the body and the physical capabilities are there, but the two aren't marrying up together, and that's what I want to see. I want to see it come together.
Yeah. What do I want to see? I don't want to see the starters.
Okay, you're gonna.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna. But if I do see the starters, which I know I'm gonna, I want to see them run it like it's a regular season game.
Okay.
Play them as many minutes as they're going to play. I know that contradicts what I've just said, but it's, to me, like I say, it's just pointless playing them 20 minutes. It doesn't achieve anything. If you're going to play them 20 minutes, you might as well not play them at all. Because if you are going to play them, put them in the end of game situation so we can see what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to see P. Will taking it to the rim and missing, and then Ayo throwing up a wild three. I want to see whether, if Caruso plays, Caruso can actually inbound it. If the ball goes to Zach, has Zach got a clutch three in him? Or is he going to run in and take a weird looking two to try and get the foul or whatever it was he did? You know, so if you're going to play the starters, play it like it's a regular season game. I mean, I don't know how Minnesota are doing in preseason, how they're going to run it or what, but and if we don't see the starters, play the likes of Bitim for more than 12 minutes. You know, I think the two-way players altogether have probably played one full game between them out of the four that we've seen so far, minutes-wise, if that. You know, because at the end of the day, like I just said, is it all change or no change? We want to see more 3-point shooting. You've got Bitim on the bench, who was he 4 of 5 so far in the games he's played, or 5 of 6, something like that. I know he's only missed one. He, you know, get him out there, see if he can do it, see how good he is with better players around him, because the players that he's been out there with have been crap. You know, Carlick Jones, you got Bitim around the arc wide open. So Carlick Jones decides to run it, and he runs into somebody bigger than him and loses the ball. You know, so let's see what the two-way players can do with better players around them. You know, and I want to see more than 33 throw attempts, 3-point attempts as well. And I want to see us get to the line, and not DeMar. We know DeMar can get to the line. I want to see change. I want to see Zach get to the line. I want to see P. Will get to the line. I want to see, well, Kobe's been getting to the line, so that's not a problem. But then, yeah, it's, as we said, it is only pre-season. So, I don't know if you've got anything else on pre-season before we throw it to the ad read.
No, just completely agree with what you said about Bitim. I want to see more of him. Definitely want to see more of him.
Yeah, like I said, I'm excited to watch him tear the G League apart, but to me, I don't want to see it. I want to see what he can do with the big boys. You know, play some big boy basketball with Torrey Craig.
Yeah.
Who is my prediction for CHGO's Goon of the Year, by the way.
Yeah, I think he could be quids in there, actually.
Yeah, well, probably not, because he's probably going to be up there as a favourite, so putting a quid on it will get me nothing, because I'm tight and I won't bet too much. So yeah, our partners at USA Sports. USA Sports, like us, are getting very excited for the start of the NBA season next week. And to celebrate that, USA Sports is offering a combination deal on the Chicago Bulls Storm apparel. You can get a Storm hood and a Storm knit for $54.99. The original price is online if you go on there. We both actually have the Storm hoodie as well, don't we?
Yeah, it's lovely.
And yeah, it is. It stands out. Yeah, so yeah, they're running that. It will be started to get pushed by them and by us a little bit more from tomorrow or today, whenever you're listening to this. So yeah, for that deal and some of the amazing other deals, head to usasports.co.uk and at checkout on certain items, enter the code CREDUK for discount. So yeah, didn't really prep that ad read very well, but it was new and it's only come through today, hasn't it? So
you did a very good job, Matthew.
Yeah. Right, bold predictions. Now, started off as a little bit of a fun idea to end this, what started off sad with the news of you leaving me and Javonte leaving me, everybody leaving me.
I'm coming back, don't worry.
That's what my ex-missus said. That's a joke. I haven't got an ex-missus. There's only been one woman for me.
Oh, what are you after?
She shouldn't listen to this. It's all right.
She'll listen to this one. You should tell her
to. Right. We're going to give 3 bold predictions each. Now, these are things that we think realistically could happen. We're not just going to say Bulls are going to win the title because,
no,
you know, and the reason why I wanted to do them is because we say plenty of shit on this, and some of it ends up sticking, but we never get the credit for it. As in, like last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, I said I think Kobe is going to become a bit of a leader on the team.
Yeah.
A week later, Kobe puts an interview out saying, I feel like I'm becoming a leader on the team. The players are taking me more serious, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much everything what I said. So I know you're listening, Kobe. Shout out. And going back to Javonte, like I said, I was on the Javonte train well before anybody else. Everyone else jumped on it and then said that they've been on it all along. So basically the idea is we're going to put some out there. It's recorded. It's going to be on wherever you want to look for it, listen to it. And if it comes true, we can say we told you so. If it doesn't, who's going to remember? So I'll let you go with the first one.
Okay. Well, I hope we don't clash because we have not discussed these other than the fact that you said maybe there was something to do with P. Will. That is all we've said to one another. So hopefully we don't say the same thing. But anyway, the first one I'm going to go for is that Kobe White wins most improved player either this year or next, or is at least in the conversation.
I can get on board with that. And it's not one of mine. Yeah, I don't quite know how that award works. You know what I mean? How, because Ja Morant won it, didn't he? You know what I mean? And how can you be most improved when you come in as a rookie of the year in the first place? But
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can get on board with Kobe winning it. So that kind of adds nicely into my first one, and it is about Zach. I think Zach will this year make the NBA second All NBA team.
Yeah, I can go with that too.
I don't think he's going to be in MVP contention because he's not European in the centre. But I think he'll be top 10. You know, at a push, I think he could drop down to third All NBA. Either way, still. But my prediction is second.
Okay, I like it. Oh, we've lost you for a second. You're back. That was a bit of a, like mic drop. I'm gone. I'm done. All right. So my second bold prediction then is Alex Caruso turns his focus to his offensive game and becomes a legit two-way force to be reckoned with.
That 3-point machine that we need.
Exactly.
I like it. All right. I'm going to leave the big one till the end because I know it won't clash with yours. No, my second one, Julian Phillips.
Yeah.
By the end of the season, Bulls Nation will be screaming for him to be in that 10-man rotation.
Right. I think that's
he
doable.
Could possibly well be as well.
Okay. Well, they won't be screaming for it if he already is.
Well, yeah, but they'll be screaming for him to get in it, and then he'll get in
it. Fair enough. And this is where we're going to go down separate roads, I think, because I have a fair idea what you've got coming up is going to clash completely with what I'm going to say. But I'm going to say that for my final bold prediction, P. Will finally gets to breaking point with all the criticism he's receiving, and finds a way to channel his game correctly. Pretty much just as I'm about the only person left on Pewell Island.
Good segue into mine. Because mine is, by the end of the season, I will be off Pewell Island.
Right.
And I'm not just going to say it just to say, I told you so, because obviously you'll be able to keep track of it as we go on, because we're putting our thoughts on recording. But obviously we used that analogy last year, didn't we, of Pewell Island, and I said I was going to give him 20 games, and I'd kind of stayed there, but I was ready to get off it. And I think we mentioned in our predictions that I was on it, I'm just not comfortable. Suitcases packed, tickets are open-ended. I'm ready to go at any point. And I just think, as you said before, I've kind of been sat on the fence with him.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm ready to fall the wrong side of the fence with him. It's just, he's the third longest tenured player on the Bulls at the minute. But we treat him like he's Julian Phillips. And we've got to get past that now. And that's why I think I'm going to be off it, because I'm sick of talking about him. I'm sick of the, can he do this? Can he do that? We've seen that he can be our best 3-point shooter, or most prolific 3-point shooter. That's great. We want to see the other sides to him. And it goes back to what I said before about rebounding. Casey Johnson put something out in the Nuggets game the other day about it, and there was a troll on there saying Pewell doesn't need to rebound because we've got Dre and Vooch. Well, that's good when they're there. But as we saw the other day, when Dre was down the other end of the court, who was back there getting an uncontested rebound was Pewell. And a question I had asked to you yesterday was, who's seen as the greatest rebounder of all time?
In my opinion, Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, and I'd say that's pretty much everyone's opinion.
Yeah.
And what position was Dennis Rodman?
Power forward.
What position are we playing Pewell? I'm not saying what position is he. What position are we playing him?
Power forward.
So, your power forward has to be able to rebound. And yeah, it's fine grabbing the uncontested ones where the ball bounces in the general direction of that player. But the art of rebounding is obviously learning where the ball's going to go off the player's shots. As Rodman said, that's what he did. Studied his own player's shots and the opposition shots. And then having the aggression and the heart and the passion to go up there and challenge for it. We know that that's what Rodman was special at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want Pewell to turn into Dennis Rodman on the boards, or even Andre Drummond on the boards. I just want him to show that little bit of something that he actually realizes he's in a game.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of this whole remember the Minnesota game. Look at what he did in the Nuggets game the other night. Because that's great. But they're pointless games. And the Minnesota game wasn't against their starters. All right, the Nuggets game, but how much effort were Nuggets putting into it? Do you know what I mean? And I'm just sick of that, of seeing him in one game. You think, that's it. He's done it. We've finally seen the Pewell we want to see. And then for the next 4 games saying, where the hell's Pewell gone? And it's just, he's going into year 4, year 3, if you want to be pedantic about it. But, it's got to be, we can't be talking like this about him again next year. But obviously, he might not even be on the Bulls by that point. He will be, but might not be, depending on what happens with his extension.
Yeah.
So, I just think by the end of the year, I'm just going to be off, and I probably won't even want to bother talking about him, because I'm just sick of talking about him now.
No, I get it. I get it. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of sick of talking about him too. I'd rather be talking about his basketball when he's playing it, as opposed to having to break down what kind of a player he is or isn't at the moment, and the same way everybody across the board is having to discuss him at the moment, and has been pretty much for his whole Bulls career, really. I do get it. I get why people are switching off. I get why people are losing faith. I do. I mean, I'm not naive. I'm not stupid. I'm not looking at P. Will seeing something completely different to everybody else. But I just like. I mean, you talk about the rebounding thing, and one of my greatest memories of P. Will, like, although I can't remember what team he was playing against, was when he jumped up and he pulled down a rebound one-handed. You know, look like he cradled it. And I was just like, man, I've not seen too many players ever do that. And it's those little snippets. It's like we said before. He's a tease. He's the ultimate tease. He does tease you with, this is what I can do. Look at the talent that is, there, but it's raw talent, and he doesn't know how to harness it. And that's the point I guess I'm making, is that I think something finally either snaps or clicks, whichever one, I'll take it, in him by the end of the season, and he'll become what he needs to be. That being said, if it doesn't happen, we'll revisit this discussion.
Which I'm sure everybody will.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I think the introduction of Torrey Craig is making it the negatives of P. Will stand out a lot more.
Yeah.
Because like I said at the start, if P. Will could have the little extras that Torrey Craig does, as well as his scoring potential, then you've got the player you want P. Will to be.
Yeah.
And and like I say, that's the one I really hope I'm wrong on, because I don't want to be wrong on that one. No, I want to be wrong on that one, should I say? I don't want to be right on that one. Because the amount of effort we're putting into him, I want him to be that guy, and I just, the way things are trending, I just don't see it, and I just don't know. I don't know what it is, and on Torrey Craig, DeMar DeRozan, when they're saying they want to bring a certain side out of P. Will, P. Will's got to bring that side out of himself. Other players can't do it for him, and if he can't do it in year 4, I just don't see him ever being able to do it. So yeah, that's our ball predictions. Hopefully 1 or 2 of them stick. Hopefully 1 or 2 of them don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else.
No.
Apart from your goodbyes.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to leave it in your, I hope, capable hands.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, that's why I said I hope. I don't think you even know exactly what way you're going to run it while I'm gone. So watch this space, and we could all get a bit of a surprise one way or another.
Or you may not hear off us for about 3 weeks.
Well, no, because I'm planning on doing at least one. I've managed to talk my family into allowing me to come away from the holiday for a few hours to do one podcast. But I don't know. We'll see how we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk about over the coming weeks.
Yeah, and obviously, in all seriousness, like I've said to you before, do hope you enjoy your holiday. I'm not jealous at all. I mean, I time my holiday next year when nothing's going on. I'm going to go find Obi in Turkey.
That's why you're the boss man.
Just doesn't know it yet. And yeah, so yeah, like I say, in all seriousness, hope you enjoy it. Obviously, you are going to the Bucks Magic game.
Yeah.
And you will be repping Bulls and /Sea Red.
Oh, absolutely. Don't worry. I'm not going to be going there wearing anything Magic or Bucks. It will be Chicago Bulls or Sea Red UK all the way. Don't worry.
So yeah, that's it. Obviously, that's you for 3 weeks or whatever it ends up being. Once I get a definitive date, I might do a jersey countdown to your return.
There we go.
For all our fanatics. So yeah, like I say, don't know what's happening yet, so I can't tell you when I'll be back. But it will be just me, unfortunately for you lot. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. like I say, leave comments and that on YouTube or on Twitter, wherever. And as usual, I've been Matt, and you can find me on Twitter at MattSearedUK, and you can find us on all the socials at SearedUK.
And you can find me on Twixter at Neill SearedUK on behalf of both Matt and myself for a while, and the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. Whether you're watching or listening, please do subscribe, rate and review, and give us a thumbs up on YouTube. It does help us to keep providing you with the content, or at least for Matt to keep providing you with the content. From us both, do remember it's a Chicago Bulls thing. Wherever you are in the world, you are, please, supporting and continue to support this amazing Chicago Bulls team. Until next time, Sea Red people.
Percolator. It's time for the percolator. Percolator.